film opens with a chilling claim. It is said to be so terrifying that it has allegedly caused death. The story is based on an ancient ritual from medieval Borneo, integrating themes of sacrifice, slavery, and revenge to explore Southeast Asian horror to an extreme degree. The plot begins in a 13th century village in Sarawak, Southeast Asia, where villagers develop a cruel, sacrificial ceremony to pray for divine blessings. During the ritual, they bury a male slave alive in a pit beneath a sacred pillar and tie a female slave to the pillar, leaving her to suffer until death. Far from a prayer for blessings, this act is a brutal sacrifice. Unexpectedly, instead of divine favor, the village is cursed. The spirits of the tormented victims bring about a terrifying curse known as the Jiling Curse. With thunder and gales, a malevolent force envelopes the village, and all the villagers are dragged into a hellish fate. Though the villagers perish, the cursed pillar remains standing on Sarawak soil, resisting centuries of weathering. This eerie phenomenon attracts local scientists who plan to investigate the origins of the pillar and apply to designate it as a World Heritage Site, unaware of the dark past and the lingering curse attached to it. Upon arriving in Sarawak, the group, including a woman named Xiao Mei, notices the locals behaving strangely. The villagers are grim, unfriendly, and even hostile. One splashes water on Xiao Mei's boat, and when the group asks for directions, they are met with anger and rejection. Troubled, Xiao Mei attempts to record the strange behavior on her phone, only to be startled by an old man, causing her to flee in fear. Fortunately, the village chief appears and provides directions to the pillar. His family is hospitable and even offers local delicacies. In the village chief's courtyard, Xiao Mei sees his smiling daughter and waves back. But suddenly she's horrified to see the girl fall into the river. Xiao Mei leaps in to save her, only to be pulled underwater by another force, where she sees a second girl. Just as panic sets in, she awakens. It was a vivid, disturbing dream. Despite being a dream, it feels hauntingly real and continues to disturb her on their journey. The group hikes into a misty forest and finds an abandoned house where they discover equipment left by a previous expedition team that mysteriously vanished. To uncover what happened, a man named Lao Wang sneaks into the house at night with a camera. The eerie atmosphere grows heavier as Lao Wang films, and he sees something alarming until a teammate, Wei, appears behind him and prevents a panic. Meanwhile, strange occurrences affect the others. Xiao Mei, who insists on bathing in the wilderness, is frightened by eerie noises and flickering lights while she bathes. Initially brushing it off as colleagues messing around, she becomes increasingly alarmed and flees the area. Uncle Biao dreams of his deceased wife. Initially a warm reunion, her expression turns sinister as they talk. Another teammate, a woman named Kui Hua, wakes up at 2:30 a.m. needing to use the bathroom. Uneasy about going alone in the remote forest, she tries waking Xiao Mei but fails. Only later does she realize Xiao Mei was right beside her reading a book. The two eventually leave together, but at a staircase, Xiao Mei feels a tug and sees Kui Hua pulling her. Shockingly, the real Kui Hua behind her has transformed into something horrific. The dream within a dream ends, and Xiao Mei awakens in a strange forest instead of the house. Confused but unshaken, she assumes she sleepwalked and rejoins her teammates in searching for the Jiling pillar. After some time, they discover the pillar deep in the forest, covered in strange symbols and ominous inscriptions, proof of the ancient curse. The group is excited, considering it a monumental find. Kui Hua inspects the inside with a flashlight and finds only bats. Lao Wang brushes it off, warning her not to overreact. However, none of them realize that stepping near the pillar has already activated the dormant curse. Soon after, dark clouds gather, wind howls through the forest, and black fluid begins to leak mysteriously from the pillar. Xiao Mei examines it and is thrown back by a sudden gust of wind. She accidentally steps into the liquid and appears to fall into a trance. The curse has truly begun to unfold. As the curse deepens, Wei is found sitting quietly with a dark expression, obsessively drawing and then sharpening a pencil with increasing aggression. Xiao Mei is horrified to discover that he is not sharpening a pencil at all, but rather his own finger, now mangled and exposed to the bone. Seemingly unaware of the injury, Wei continues the self-mutilation until Uncle Biao slaps him, possessed or hallucinating Wei, snapping him back to reality. He screams in pain at the damage done to his hand. Lao Wang decides to escort him back to the village for treatment, intending to return later to continue the investigation. However, not long after they begin their return, the Jiling pillar collapses with a thunderous crash, crushing Awei's leg. From the ruins emerges a monstrous shadow-like creature, terrifying Kuihua, who flees in panic. Strangely, Xiaomei, who had previously stepped into the cursed black liquid, shows no fear. Her demeanor has changed. Her expression is eerily calm and distant, hinting at possession. Kuihua escapes back to the village only to find it disturbingly silent, as if deserted. She injures her leg while searching for help and limps to the village chief's house to request medical attention. The chief's behavior is unsettling. His gaze lingers suspiciously on her body as he helps bandage the wound. Later, in search of a charger, Kuihua stumbles upon a box in the chief's living room containing items that belong to the previous expedition team. Disturbed by the discovery, she finds a camera that plays back mysterious, cursed voices. Before she can react, the village chief enters and sternly warns her to return the items, threatening her if she disobeys. Realizing something is terribly wrong, Kuihua leaps out of the window and flees into the forest despite her injuries. The village chief follows, certain that her condition makes her easy prey. He eventually catches her in the woods, pins her to the ground, and begins sexually assaulting her while she screams in agony, unheard by anyone. However, elsewhere in the forest, Xiaomei suddenly halts. Since stepping into the black liquid, she has been experiencing supernatural phenomena. Now she seems able to sense everything happening to Kuihua. She sees the assault vividly in her mind. The spirit possessing her is revealed to be one of the ancient souls who were tortured and buried during the 13th century ritual. These spirits cursed the pillar and vowed vengeance upon the descendants of the Sarawak villagers. The current village chief is the last of those descendants. Just as the chief raises a knife to finish Kuihua, a supernatural force pulls back the tree branches behind him. Xiaomei appears. The spirit inside her attacks, slamming the chief against the cursed pillar and grabbing his neck to strangle him. Uncle Biao, unaware of the full situation, tries to intervene, urging Xiaomei to calm down. She ignores him and hurls the chief into a deep pit, though he narrowly escapes. Xiaomei, still possessed, tries to pin him to the pillar and torture him like the villagers once did to their victims. Uncle Biao continues to plead for mercy, frustrating the spirit. Finally, Xiaomei accuses the chief of murdering Uncle Biao's beloved wife and raping Kuihua. The revelation shocks Uncle Biao to his core. Realizing the truth, that the kindly village chief was actually a vile predator, he grabs a shovel and pins it against the chief's neck, ready for revenge. At the last moment, however, his compassion resurfaces, and he spares the chief's life, walking away in disgust. But this mercy enrages the vengeful spirit in Xiaomei. It knocks Uncle Biao aside and moves to finish the job. The chief, realizing the spirit's source of power is the cursed pillar itself, begins stabbing the pillar. Surprisingly, the wounds inflicted on the pillar injure Xiaomei's body as well, revealing the symbiotic bond between the spirit and the pillar. Damage to one harms the other. Understanding this weakness, the chief gains temporary control and demands the spirit obey him. He orders it to kill Xiaomei, Uncle Biao, and Awei. Helpless, the spirit turns on them. But just then, Uncle Biao silently sneaks up and finally overcomes his hesitation. This time, he plunges a knife into the chief's chest, killing him. With the last descendant of the cursed village dead, the spirit loses its anchor. Xiaomei and Awei are spared, and the curse dissolves. The pillar's dark influence vanishes. The tale ends with a somber reflection. True divinity does not require blood offerings. Seeking divine mercy through acts of evil is a blasphemous reversal of morality that invites ruin. One must never play with darkness, for in doing so, they risk destruction by the very forces they summon. Seeking divine mercy through acts of evil is a blasphemous reversal of morality that invites ruin. One must never play with darkness, for in doing so, they risk destruction by the very forces they summon.